All right, so basically what we're going to be discussing today is what I want to call the process of design and the process of design, and it talks more about the process of the business of working with a client that comes with a project for you to work on. So what the process should be when you start to when you finish. So I'm going to take you through what I feel are 7 steps that you would need to take if you are taking on a design project. Now, these steps I'm going to be highlighting, a lot of them it's basically modeled on if you are designing a logo. But I'm sure it can work if you are designing other things like maybe a website or whatever it is. You can still use some of the steps that we have here. But basically, if you're designing a logo, which is what I do, these are the steps I feel you should use. Now, these steps don't mean that the project will go seamlessly. It doesn't mean that. The truth is that if a project wouldn't work out, it wouldn't work out for a number of reasons. But if you follow any of these steps, which I'm going to give you right now, they're going to help you to have as seamless a process of working with a client as possible. But it's not fail-proof, but it just helps you. And it also helps you to position yourself as a professional more. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. And so I'm going to start sharing my screen. Here we are. All right. So this topic is called the process. This class we're having is called the process. It's called the design process. And going right into it, the first thing that happens when you're having a design job to work on is the approach. You have a client approach you, or sometimes you approach a client. But let's even assume that the client is approaching you right now. So you have what I call the approach. And what happens in this approach phase is someone reaches out to you and says, I got your number from so-and-so, or I saw your social media page, or I went on your website, and I would like you to design, for the purpose of this class, a logo for me. Now, the person has approached you. What is the first thing you do as a design business? At this stage, what you need to do is some form of basic discovery. This is what I call basic discovery. It's not an in-depth discovery, it's a basic discovery. And this is when you ask the person what exactly they expect to get at the end of the day. So if someone says, oh, I want to design a logo, this normally happens in a conversation, it might be a phone conversation, where you now ask the person, do you have an existing logo? Is this a rebrand? And they tell you, no, this is not a rebrand, this is a new company. We've never designed anything before, and we want to do a logo. Then now go ahead to ask, would you just be designing a logo or designing other collateral with this logo? Now, this basic discovery, you're not going in depth. It's not a long conversation, just for you to know exactly what the client wants from this when they approach you. So you ask them what else they might be looking at doing. This allows you to know the scope of the project. So you ask them, what else are they looking at doing? Are they looking at designing business cards, letterheads, ID cards, all these things that you might have on your rate card? You ask them which one of your packages they want on the rate card. So this basic discovery is just for you to test what the scope of the project is and how big the project is. This allows you to go into the second step, which I call billing. This is where you charge. You charge for whatever the client is requesting that they want. So at this billing stage, this is when you would have sent them your rate card. Remember, they approach you saying they want your service. The next step is you send them your rate card that highlights what it is that they've said in that basic discovery that they want. So if they say, okay, all I want is a logo, then you tell them, oh, you're going to send them a rate card that has how much you charge or bill for a logo. If they tell you all they want is a logo, business card, and all those other things, you tell them they're sending them your rate card, which also has a package for what they want. So you must bill. The billing is the second phase, you understand, where you bill them for the work. So sometimes what they want might not be in your rate card. Some people might want some kind of custom requirements from you as a designer. So they might say, oh, we don't want ID cards, we don't want business cards, we don't want a logo, and we want a menu for our restaurant and stuff like that. Now, that might not be in your rate card because that's specific for restaurants. Now, you now tell them, what you now do is now prepare a rate to bill for that work you are doing. Now, in this bill, as I must have told you before in other discussions that we've had, is that your rate card should have your packages and should have how much you charge and how much you are going to take upfront. So at this level, they must know what your upfront requirement for payment is as a business. So there must be an upfront payment at this stage. Your upfront payment can be 50, depending on what level of design you are or how confident you are about your billing. But I don't advise anybody goes less than 50. So upfront can be 50%, can be 70%, or can be 100%. But let's assume for this class, your upfront is 70%. So this is where you ask them for a 70% upfront. This payment must be made before you proceed to any other level. Now, this billing level is what determines whether you go on to see or to take the client through every other level that I'm going to be showing you right now. The upfront payment must be made. Whatever percentage you're asking for must be made upfront. So that's 70%. I tell people, don't even start thinking about the project till you get the alert that upfront payment has been made. Don't start thinking about it. Don't start thinking about it. Don't start thinking or start sketching, because when people start sketching and start thinking and start working, no. Cultivate the habit to start working once the upfront payment has been made. So the billing is the second level. Now we come to the third level. This third level is very important. This is where a project has the chance of going wrong. This third level is called the discovery level. Remember, at the approach stage, there was something called the basic discovery. It wasn't in-depth. It was just you knowing what the scope of the project was so that you could bill effectively for it. Now, this discovery project is more intimate. This discovery phase of the project is more intimate. And this is where it is decided whether this project that you are doing as a designer is going to be stressful or is going to be easy. Whether the client is going to like you or they will dislike you, whether you're going to like the client or dislike the client. This level is very important, this discovery stage. I realize that a lot of designers don't go through this discovery stage, or they just gloss over it. But this is where you're going to spend most of the time, to be honest with you, if you want this thing to come out right. The more time you spend at this discovery phase, the better the project will be at the end of the day. So you want to spend a lot of time at this discovery phase. You want to make sure you spend a lot of time. And what's the discovery phase? It's a phase where you ask this question: the what, the who, the why, and the where. So you're going to be asking questions, and the client is going to be giving you answers. Now, the client, you have to make the client do a lot of talking in this phase. Very important. When I work with clients, we spend a lot of time at this discovery phase. We talk, we have very lengthy conversation at this discovery phase. It's very important that you sit down and talk with the client. If you can meet. If you want to talk over the phone, make sure you have enough credit to talk over the phone. If it's someone that you cannot spend that much credit talking, then you guys must organize like a Zoom meeting or a Google Meet meeting, something that can allow you guys really discuss at length. You are going to ask what the company is, what they do, what the product is, what the name is. The what is very important. Who it's for. You must also be able to ask who their product or their service is for. That must be very, very clear. It cannot be vague. The client cannot tell you it's for everybody. You understand? Those kind of things don't work. Those are the kind of things that confuses people. You must be able to spend time to discover who this brand is for. Why? The why is very important. why they got into the business in the first place, why they are doing this project that are involving you in the first place. What is the inspiration? What inspires them? You understand? Those things are very important. Where they are going, where the business sees itself in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, where they're going. Very important. This information helps you to put together what we call a brief. So it's very, very, very important that you go through that discovery process. This discovery process also where you ask other questions like, who is their competition? Who is their inspiration? What have they seen in the past that they like? You know, this conversation must be very rich. So the more questions you can ask that gives you an understanding, the better this discovery project process is going to be, and the better the work that you deliver would be at the end of the day. This is what endears the client to you. This phase where you can get to talk with the client. I don't recommend, a lot of people use questionnaires, but I don't recommend using questionnaires because questionnaires are not personal. This is not a place where you ask what's your favorite color. No. Or do you like a word mark or a symbol mark? The client doesn't know about that. You are the one that informs the client about what a word mark is or what's appropriate. So you must be able to go through this discovery phase as an inquisition of finding out how much the client knows about their business. So remember, at this phase, you are a listener. You're more or less a listener. You're not talking too much, but you're more or less a listener, asking questions, inquisitive. It's like you are dating the client and want to know whether you can go from dating to marrying the client. You understand? So it's a very, very important phase to be at. Then from there, we move to what I call the solution. Here, you are going to recommend a solution to the client. So it's this stage is also a very important stage that I realize is missing in a lot of designers' process. That solution. A lot of people confuse the design for the solution, but the design is not a solution. Design is an expression of a solution that you've come up with already. So the solution is what you recommend. Do you understand? That's the solution. It's just like when you go to a doctor and tell a doctor, oh, I'm having headaches, I'm having joint pain, I'm having this. The solution that the doctor gives you is to take malaria medicine. Do you understand? And tell you to take it for a number of days. Now, you haven't taken the medicine yet. You haven't purchased the medicine, but the solution has been prescribed. Do you understand? And this is where you have to prescribe a solution to the client, recommend a solution. And this is done by doing something called a mood board. A mood board is a very important design element, highly important for every designer to be able to design one. It's a very simple document. And for the sake of this class, I'll take you through a mood board I did recently for a client. Well, a mood board is important. So you must have this mood board. And the mood board takes the client through where they expect to be at the end of the day. So when you design a mood board for a client, the client should see what their logo could possibly look like at the end of the day. So what you're taking, what informs this mood board is what you had in your discovery stage. All the information the client gave you in the discovery stage is what makes you come up with a solution. So after that discovery conversation, you tell the client, okay, we are going to go back and we're going to go back for maybe a week, a couple of days, depending on how much time you feel will take it to come up with a solution. And you say, we will get back to you with what we call a mood board. Now, the client might tell you what's a mood board, then you'll be able to tell the client what a mood board is. But let me take you through this mood board, and that might define it to you better. So this is a mood board I did for a client recently. This name was the brand, but it's a mood board. And first of all, the first page here, it doesn't have to be the first page in yours, but it defines what a mood board is so that the client understands it. And it says a mood board helps to bridge the gap between language and visuals, ensuring everyone is fully on the same page before moving on to the design phase. You understand? It is a bridge between language and visuals. That means all you've been doing in discovery has been language, you guys talking. But a mood board is that bridge that takes language to visuals. You understand? So that when you start developing your visuals, you are all on the same page. They say it establishes the visual world for your brand to live within, and it drives the design that's to come. So this mood board is what drives the design that is to come. You understand? So you must have a mood board. So this first page is what defines what the mood board is. You can also have a page. Remember, all this information is from your discovery, where you discover what the brand name is. All those things, what you ask, what's your brand name? Then you go into the industry, saying, what industry are you in? For this brand, they're in the hair and beauty industry. So we had that defined already. Then you say, what are the brand traits and personality? This brand wanted to be authentic, classy, wanted to look premium, wanted to be strong and Afrocentric. So you must be able to put adjectives that allows the brand to have a personality. But this only comes by a good discovery. So if you ask the right questions, you'll be able to write what the brand traits are. Then you now write what the brief is. The brief. That means from the discovery, what is the brief? What's your assignment? What are you meant to do? And for me here, the brief was to embark on a visual rebrand for this brand by creating a distinguishing brand identity that best reflects the brand values and unique personality. I also said the identity must fulfill the following: should make the brand easy to read, should exude a sense of professionalism and class, should be simple, clean, adaptable for various uses, should not be restricting to hair and salon industry, but allow for easy brand extension. So you see, all these things came about from a discovery process. I asked, who is their audience? Where are they going? What's their inspiration? Do you understand? And all those things allow me to come up with a brief for these clients. So then on, from their discovery, I was able to say, okay, I think these colors would best, remember, I've not done any design at all. All we're just going with right now is my education in design and psychology and knowing what works best for what I've come up with in my brief. So for these people, I told them, oh, black will be good because you want to be premium. You want to look luxurious. White for simplicity and trust. And we said we will have a color that will be an accent color to allow for some excitement, you understand, in the brand. So you see, I just wrote, in these colors, I wrote the proposed colors for the brand. So it's still a proposal, you understand, that the client would have to look out and say, oh, okay, I like these colors you propose. Like with this one, the client actually looked at it and said, oh, these accent colors, I'm not sure of these accent colors. Can we try this? You understand? So I didn't have to commit to design before the client would tell me, look, we don't like these colors. We can at the onset, at the communication stage, you can at the onset strike out some things so that it makes design easier and shorter. Next phase is logo style. So I let them know, oh, this is the style, the proposed style we are going for. So we're looking at a word mark. It was very easy, but sometimes clients don't know what a word mark is. I don't want to tell them, look, go and Google word mark. So I tell them, okay, your logo is not going to look very far from any of these ones you are looking at here. You can see how clean and minimalist they are. They work in black and white, very easy. There's no symbol. And that bit I wrote here, it says the proposed identity should be a simple word mark. It should be clean, bold, confident. There should be no distracting symbols or icons. So as I said, we've not started designing at all, but we are just defining a direction for the design to take. You understand? And I said it should look good on packaging because from the discovery with the client, I realized they have their own line of products. So I said, okay, whatever they have must look good on their packaging. You understand? So those are the things that you tell the client in the mood board that allows you to sail through this thing, through the design phase in a shorter amount of time. So here he has photography inspiration. So with this, what we're trying to do with the mood board is to still set a tone for this brand. So I'm saying, okay, this logo, when we place it on any of these images, it should look good. It should look at home on any of these images. You see, a lot of people restrict mood board to this last page. So when they talk about mood board, all they show are images. But there are a lot of things that come before the type of images that inspire the design. You understand? So those are the things you look for when you are trying to communicate an effective mood board to a client. So you realize that without a mood board, you are almost guessing as a designer. And that's what frustrates a design project when it seems like you are guessing. And you don't want to be guessing when you are designing. You want to be working with purpose. And the client must know, oh, this is what I'm going to get at the end of the day. Now, when you are done, you come to what we call the design phase. And this design phase is where you now create, is the creation and revisions. Now, we're all used to this phase where you go into your design software, whether it's Illustrator, Photoshop, Corel Draw, whatever your poison is, whatever software you want to, you go into that, Figma, whatever it is, or you create. But what I want to emphasize here is creation and revisions. Creation and revisions. I feel for this stage, a lot of people put restrictions on revisions. And I don't advise for designers to put restrictions on revisions, especially while they're still in the design phase. A lot of people say, okay, after 3 revisions, we are not going to revise anymore. I think it is a very counterproductive way of working, because what you're looking for is, do the revisions align with the mood board that you gave? If they do, then they make the design better. So I think it takes sometimes, out of laziness, designers don't want to take extra revisions. But I think if revisions allow you to make the design better, and it doesn't go against what the client has approved in the mood board, I feel by all means do the revisions. The problem is that people have a lot of revisions because they don't have a mood board and they don't do a good discovery. But trust me, if you do a good discovery, you might have revisions, but they will be, you won't need to tell the client, oh, we are just doing 2 or 3 revisions. The revision itself will restrict itself because the mood board has guided the design. So the client knows what they're expecting. So in fact, you might just be stuck with just doing creation without revision if you've effectively communicated and you've effectively proposed a solution. So that's what will keep you in this design stage for as short as possible. And the design stage will not be guesswork. I realize that a lot of designers guess in this design stage. So I think they end up hoping the client will like their work. But design is not built on hope. It's built on working in a particular direction where you are sure you are doing what is best for the designer and for the client, and the client is carried along effectively. After the design stage, we move on to what is called the delivery stage. Delivery stage is very important because this is where you give the work to the client. You send the work, whatever means. It might be by email, it might be physically delivering the work, whatever it is. It's the part where you sign off. Very important, but this sign off must be structured. Very important that you sign off. That's why I put it as sign off and acknowledgement. So when you are delivering a job to a client, you must also send a message saying you are done. You understand? The gist of the message must be, we are delivering the final files of this design to you. You understand? For you to keep, for your safekeeping. Tell them what the important files are. Tell them how to use it. Tell them not to give it just to any vendor. Tell them not to alter the design and whatever it is. That's like signing off. You must tell them that you are disengaging at this time. You understand? And you must have an acknowledgement. That means when you are sending this message, you must tell them to acknowledge that they are receiving it and they are satisfied with the design. Very important. This acknowledgement can save you. I've had a client before that it was the acknowledgement that saved me. Because after a while, the client was saying, oh, you know what? We want to change the direction of this thing. So we want to come back to this project at no cost. And I told the client, no, we can't do that. Because you had already said in your acknowledgement that you have received it and you're satisfied. You understand? So the acknowledgement is very important. You must acknowledge receipt of the file and satisfaction with it. And keep that email. It's very important. Or that message, whatever it is, it's very important that you keep it. So signing off an acknowledgement. And the last phase is invoicing. Invoicing is very important because you need to get your balance payment. Now, your balance payment should come after delivery as a professional. Don't expect the client to pay you before delivery. So this is not a point where you start putting a watermark on your job saying you only remove the watermark after delivery. No, you can't do that. You don't do that as a professional because you know that the client is expecting their work to be done. You've already committed a 70% upfront. It's important that you are very, very loyal of have some integrity to give them their work too before they give you the balance payment. Once you receive the balance payment, by all means, give the client a receipt. A receipt is also a very important document that could save you a lot of trouble in the future. So once you receive that balance payment, do not waste time before you give them their receipt to let them know that you've received the balance payment and transaction has ended. So these are the 7 steps you need to go through as a designer. I think I'll try to just go through them again and see how the process is. Approach, basic discovery, billing, upfront payment, 70% is what I'm recommending. Discovery, you know the what, the who, the why, and the where. Very important. Spend a lot of time here so that it can shorten your design time. Solution, come up with a mood board that comes from your discovery. So whatever it is the client has told you, you must be able to come up with a solution for it. This is an example of the mood board. You can see we went through that. Then the design, which we are all conversant with. The creation phase, very important, but be open to revisions as much as possible. You must be open to revisions as much as possible. Do not put restrictions on revisions. People that put restrictions on revisions are insecure to an extent, so they're not sure whether they are going in the right direction. Do you understand? So not put restriction on revision, especially if it aligns with the mood board. The client can help with a lot of projects that I do that are good. Is because I'm open to revisions and it makes the project look better. In the end, you are the designer. You take all the credit of a good project at the end of the day. Delivery, very important. Deliver all your files, all your specified files that the client needs. Sign off and ask for an acknowledgement as soon as possible. You understand? They must acknowledge the collection of this file that you're giving to them. Then the invoicing is also very important, where you ask for your balance payment and round it up with a receipt from your company. Those are the things that allow you to come across as a professional designer. So you can see, as I said earlier, that these things do not guarantee that you are going to have a 100% seamless journey with a client. No, nothing guarantees that. But this makes sure that you are checking all the boxes as a professional. You are crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And a lot of times, it just helps you to have a better experience with the client. It makes the client feel secure at the end of the day. And I would say 90% of the time, if you follow these steps, these 7 steps, you would have what I see as a seamless project at the end of the day. So at this point, I would like to ask for your questions. I don't know if we have the time in this session, so I might need to create an additional session just for us to take your questions.